I think this is where the board needs to be blamed. And I think there's one thing they need to be praised for as well, because they could have sold Mohamed Salah about, was it last season or the season before, for 170 million. And they kept him for the chance of winning a title, which they did. So there's that. So if Mohamed Salah leaves on a free at the end of this season, then the Liverpool fans can't be that annoyed about it because he got them a title.
Sorry,
In a small sense, Cal.
Sorry
in a
to
small
cut you
sense.
off. Sorry to
Go
do
on.
this as well, Dan.
Do it.
I can't sit here and give the ownership credit for rejecting the deal for Salah. He's the best right winger in the world. Like, I know there'll be arguments. Obviously, you got Sakas, you got your Lamals and all these players. Salah's the best right winger in the world. We couldn't, even if you go and get 170 mil, who are you going to go out and get that replicates anything that Salah does? Or even two.
But you're not saying that the Glazers wouldn't have taken that money. That
the Glazers
that what's his face, Levy.
They're seen as one of the worst owners in league. So comparing
170 mil is a big number to reject, bro.
We are Liverpool Football Club. We're not broke, bro.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
Okay, so if you're not broke, if Salah leaves on a free, can you be upset?
Yes, because you don't let him get to the last year of his contract, Wolfie.
No, that bit I agree with, but you have to understand that the risk that was taken at that stage to reject 170 mil. Yeah,
Wolfie, Salah since September has come out and said, I don't want to leave the club. The club know this. I want to stay here. So if he doesn't get a new contract, I don't know what's gone on behind the scenes. The Trent thing, I can have the argument from people who go, yeah, but Trent never came out publicly and said anything. You're right. I can't even argue that point. Virgil and Salah, since September, we went to Old Trafford, turned them over 3-0. After that game, Salah said, the club know what I want. I want to stay. Numerous times Salah's come out after games. Virgil said it. There's still no contract on the table. This whole notion.
Cal, but you're missing my point. I don't think your owners, the United owners, the Arsenal owners really give a shit about trophies. Yeah. For them, it's Champions League qualification, it's money, it's bottom line. Okay. So for them to reject 170 mil for Salah, right, shows me a little bit of forward thinking that they thought keeping Salah could win us a trophy. Yeah. The consequence of them not selling Salah, because if you look at Arsenal, I would expect
Salah rejected the move, right?
Forget that. They rejected the offer, did they not?
But Salah rejected the move.
Yeah, okay. But partly they could have accepted the offer and then he could have rejected the move. They didn't do that.
Yeah, but they're not going to accept it unless they speak to Salah first and say, are you interested in this?
It could happen. Look, we don't know. All we know,
that's turmoil then.
Okay, but either way, they didn't accept and he didn't, and they didn't take the offer from Saudi. Okay, so when Salah, if he goes, there has to be a slight acceptance that you could have cashed in on him while the contract was running down. They chose to keep him for the investment of the team, or whatever reason it is. You won a trophy off the back of that, right? So there has to be a little credit for them. But what I will say, to let all three run down in the same season, then to have Alisson, is Alisson the next year? I think he is.
Konate is next year.
Konate, then Alisson the year after. Yeah. This is not a good sign of how a club should be run. I remember saying to you at the start of the season, my worry about you is your team looks like it's aging. It reminds me of when you had the Fabinho, Henderson, Wijnaldum midfield that aged, and then suddenly overnight it was too old. You're starting to see signs of that. Why are Liverpool not future-proofing? How you didn't sign outside of just Chiesa in 2 transfer windows is not acceptable.
I've been saying
when you're on, especially in January when you're on top, why haven't you reinvested and strengthened? You know, you guaranteed yourself the title, yet you didn't strengthen.
I've been saying this, Wolfie. Hence why I don't rate them as owners. In terms of future-proofing, though, I mean, we've bought Mamardashvili. That is effectively future-proofing for Alisson.
Yeah. No,
Trent, do you say it's not?
No, please, can we not do this, please? Like,
no, I'm not saying he's going to be magical, but I'm saying in terms of
they've thought about it.
Yeah, they've thought about it. Salah, there's never been future-proofing for Salah, and Virgil, God only knows, bro.
Can I run my agenda?
Can
I run my agenda? So there's somebody, and I had this conversation with Roms earlier. There's somebody, that we're all overlooking when it comes to the blame game, and I am coining this, So a lot of Liverpool fans I think maybe even you yourself included, Cal. Yeah. When Arne Slot, he's working wonders. He's making magic happen. But it's because Klopp left the squad in a great place. He left the squad in a great place. Now I have to ask. Yeah. Trent, the situation that he's in, VVD, the situation that he's in, Salah, the situation that he's in, Kanate.
Whoa, Hooks. By the way, you were right before. It is Mohamed Salah.
I know. Yeah. Because everyone's been slewing me for how I say it.
You were right. You're right.
Yeah. Come on, I'm cultured. Yeah. It's not just everybody wants to English up names. I'm cultured. Yeah. So, by the way, is that leaving it in a great place? Because think about it, and correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a Liverpool fan. I don't look into your ins and outs like everybody else. Yeah. But wasn't it 4 years or around about 4 years of Edwards? And Edwards was kind of the guy that was, having the main say on all of this stuff. And then he left, and then it became part of Klopp's remit. He took on the kind of Wenger type role within the club where he oversees and looks over and maintains everything. Is Klopp not at fault for not trying to solve this issue before leaving Liverpool? Like, isn't there a bit of onus on Klopp for not trying to tie down contracts before he left the club, especially when he announced, I'm leaving? Should he not have worked really hard in time, even if it was like 1 year, 2 year extensions to their current deals, just so when he leaves, Liverpool aren't left in the mad situation that they are currently in now? Because
100%. I've said this, Hooks. I've said this. I've been battered by the fan base for it. Jurgen Klopp and George Schmack. So, all right. So, just to go back on all your points. So, Michael Edwards and Klopp, they actually worked in tandem together. One didn't have more of a say than the other. So, the way their partnership worked before is Klopp would say, look, this is the type of player I need. Michael Edwards would come back with a list, and then they'll decide from there who they go and get, depending on fees and availability, etc. So, for example, Jurgen Klopp wanted Julian Brandt and Mario Götze instead of Salah and Mane. Edwards was able to convince him and say, look, Mane and Salah would actually suit us better. Klopp was like, okay, cool, let's run it. Boom, boom, boom. Götze rejected us, which made the Mane one easier. Julian Brandt was and ahhing, which made the Salah deal easier. But either way, they were in a room together. They conversed and came together. Pause. Then after that, it was a situation where Klopp and Edwards, their relationship grew apart. Klopp left, Edwards left, then Julian Ward became the new Michael Edwards. Julian Ward then left. We had no one, and then it was George Schmacker who Klopp brought in. So Klopp became in charge of the transfers. So the first transfer window Klopp was in charge of solely, if I'm not mistaken, was the one where we signed Nunes, Carvalho, and Calvin Ramsey, the one that's aged like cheese, basically.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. And then now that Edwards is back, the last summer was the first summer where Edwards and Richard Hughes are in. In terms of Jurgen Klopp, everyone will say, oh, well, you couldn't have signed him on new contracts because Klopp was leaving. Klopp announced he was leaving in the November or the December, if I'm not mistaken. Those contracts should have been done in the summer. The moment Virgil became club captain and Trent became vice captain, those contracts should have been done there and then. The Salah one, I can understand leaving it slightly longer because he's a forward who relies on some of his pace and you want to see, is he going to improve? Because Salah did fall away towards the back end of Klopp's last season. So maybe you're thinking to yourself, okay, let's give it a few months to see how he gets through pre-season and how he starts the season. Salah's contract should have been wrapped up by January at the latest. But I agree. Virgil's contract and Trent's contract, the moment they're made captain and vice captain when Henderson leaves and Milner leaves, that's when a new contract should have been done. They weren't. So that part I blame on Klopp and Schmacker. But since June, when the new regime came in, up until today, they hold the blame because they knew what the job was.
But how do you know they didn't try? And this isn't the players outright saying no. Huh?
Who, Klopp and Schmacker?
No, I'm talking with like Virgil. You're saying that when that moment happened, that's when the contract should have been put out and they made him captain.
I said they've not been offered anything. They both come out. So unless they're lying, which they could be, but I don't understand why.
Yeah, but when they're saying they haven't been offered, right? You can interpret that in so many ways. They haven't had an official offer, right? there would have been verbal discussions, or there would have been discussions between the club and their agents. It just hasn't got to the incompendent bit
Either
with
way,
them.
it hasn't been sorted, Wolfie, bro.
Yeah, Wolfie.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, we can't just run these narratives. We don't know for sure that it's the player's fault or it's the club fault or whatever. For all we know, Virgil's sitting there saying, "I want 350k minimum,"
which is entitled.
And he deserves it. He's the best in the world, right?
He's entitled to it. Yeah,
yeah. But what will happen, Cal, is that he'll want an extended length of contract. How old is he now?
33.
33. So if maybe he wants a 3 or 4 year deal. Yeah. Do you want your club paying him? Let's just say his powers run out in 2 years' time or whatever. Do you want your club paying him 350k a week when he's sitting on the bench or whatever? You know what I'm saying?
Wolfie, that's something I'd rather cross when we get to it.
Yeah, but you're starting to see that in the Man City team now, aren't you?
Not Man City.
I know, but you're seeing it in the Man City team where all these players are aging. KDB's on bags and he's aging on bench warming and stuff.
Them, bro.
Yeah, but Wolfie, do you know what it is? Yeah, I think, and I mean, obviously, step in, Kyle, if I'm talking out of line, but as a Liverpool fan, I think it's far better of a scenario for them to commit to a 4-year contract of Virgil on 350k a week. Maybe it gets to like 2 years, 3 years into that contract, he's fallen off, but they have time from once he signed that contract to start preparing for that happening. They're now in a scenario where they can't
prepare.
Like, it's literally season ends and they need to go. It's go time. And now
any centre back you go for, the price doubles.
Yeah, because everybody knows, and especially when it comes to Salah, God forbid, like anybody that you go for in a forward area, even Isak, they're probably going, you know what? We would probably sell Isak for 120 million, but we know that Liverpool actually need a forward. All right, Liverpool, if you want Isak, 160, 170. And then that affects Liverpool's capabilities of rebuilding in other areas, because where that 40 million could have gone towards another area, it now has to go towards the striker or the forward if they want.
I don't know. I get what you're saying. The thing is, you've got to remember with Mohamed Salah, he is like a separate entity. I think Cal touched on it earlier, and I agree with him. He kind of pays for himself. Like the revenue you get from the Middle East with Liverpool shirts, all right, half of them are fake, especially in Egypt. But you know what I'm saying? There's definitely a good chunk, 70-75% is paid by what he returns into the club. Virgil's the headache one, right? He's not got that draw that you would see. Obviously, the attackers are always there. But then the problem you have, even though that's the correct methodology, like there should be a centre-back brought in to Liverpool. Let's just say Howson, as an example, to bring him in as the left-sided replacement for Virgil. Now, is Howson going to come in to Liverpool to sit on the bench for the next year or two to wait for Virgil to fall off?
Yeah.
Before, do you know what I mean? So it's a dilemma in itself. Are you going to bring, let's just say, a right winger in Mbeumo as the backup for Mohamed Salah, who's going to have to wait another year or two for Salah to fall off or want to go to Saudi or whatever before he does? So it's a major problem from both ends.
Yes, again. Well, the thing is,
sorry, Hooks. But is this not a case of then we're just thinking small-minded? Because Man City, when they were dominating and had certain players, we're still buying certain players. Chelsea have bought about 79 players in the last 3 months, and they're still able to buy players in the same position. So if you can't sell the project at Liverpool Football Club, if you can't find players who go, I back myself to break into this team, then what are we doing here?
Yeah, but when you're coming up against those two juggernauts, Cal,
bro, go and find
you know
someone.
What I'm saying?
Go and find
you know what I'm saying?
Someone.
Yeah, but no, you're missing the point. If I'm saying Mbeumo,
I hear what you're saying. You're saying, how can you sell up to a player that, you know, Virgil's here and Salah's here? Go and find someone who says, you know, Virgil and Salah, I respect them, but I back myself. We managed to buy a new goalkeeper, even though Alisson's here. And, you know, all I've been hearing from this goalkeeper is, I want to come in and fight for my place. I want to fight for the #1 spot. Is he going to get it? We'll only see. But I like the mentality. Yeah,
but the reality,
this notion we can't go and get players because Salah's here or Virgil's here. Does that mean we just wait until they fall off a cliff and then
No, but that's what I'm
retire and then buy
saying. That's the dilemma. That's the dilemma. Because if you're let's just say Mbeumo, I don't know why I'm using him as the first name to come to mind. If he's offered Liverpool, yeah, or Chelsea, okay,
Don't say Chelsea. They've got way more options on their wings. You're more likely to start Liverpool than you are Chelsea, bro.
No, not on the right wing.
I mean, yeah, you are. Chelsea have about 5.
So you're more likely to start at Liverpool ahead of Mohamed Salah than you are at Chelsea.
They have a lot of games. They all spread the games out. Liverpool tend to rotate their front line. Looking at Arne Slot, there's a lot of.
You don't, bro.
Chelsea
Salah does not get
has
dropped.
about 7. They have about 7
no one
wingers.
to rotate him with, Wolfie.
Huh?
There's no one to rotate him with.
Yeah, no, I agree. But you've never really rotated Salah in and out of that team.
But Klopp wasn't great on rotation. Slot is
not
very
rotating Salah in particular, but you know their front three. They do have a lot of players.
George, we're talking. I just literally said, Mbeumo, right wing. Is he more likely to get into the Chelsea team more regularly or the Liverpool? And you're saying the Liverpool team.
Who have Liverpool got us back up to Salah? Is it Harvey Elliott?
Chelsea's such a bad move. That's what you're saying. Chelsea is such a bad option because when you look at Chelsea, there's so many players that have gone there. I look at Chelsea like I look at Manchester United. That's
Forget
just a bad
Chelsea in specific, bro. I'm just saying if he's offered 2 different scenarios and game time is what he wants, just because Liverpool won the league, Chelsea could put a title charge together. Forget Chelsea, Man City, whatever. Right, Man City, he's got more chance of getting in because Sevilla hasn't quite, hit the heights yet. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes the attractiveness of this offer won't be that good for that player.